So you will be marking the text and answering the questions. I'm going to read it out loud for those of you that are interested. Darwin's observations. The key concept is Darwin's voyage provided insights into evolution. Darwin observed differences among island species. Darwin spent over 20 years researching biological evolution. He made important observations during his travels on a ship that sailed the coast of South America and the Pacific Islands. Darwin was amazed by the variation of traits among similar species that he saw in his travels. The word variation has many common uses, but in biology, variation means the differences in the physical traits among individuals in a group of organisms. Darwin noticed that there was variation between species on different islands. This was especially noticeable in the Galapagos Islands, a chain of islands off the coast of Ecuador in South America. For example, he noticed that birds called finches had different kinds of beaks in areas with different food sources. He found finches with thick beaks in areas with large, hard-shelled nuts, and finches with smaller beaks in areas where fruits were available. These differences seem to match the environment and the diet of the finches. Darwin realized that species may somehow be able to adapt to their surroundings, and adaptation is a feature that allows an organism to better survive in its environment. First question you'll answer is, what adaptations did Darwin notice in finches? The turtles here, this is a turtle on an island called Albilar Island with a short neck, and Abdagon Island with a long neck. Darwin also studied different species of Galapagos tortoises that are adapted to different environments. Darwin observed fossil and geologic evidence supporting an ancient Earth. During his travels, Darwin found that some fossils looked similar to living species. This suggested that the living species might have some relationship to the fossil forms. In order for such changes to occur, Darwin figured that Earth must be much older than 6,000 years. Darwin found much evidence supporting the ideas of uniformitarianism. For example, he found fossil shells of marine organisms high up in the Andes Mountains. Later, he experienced an earthquake and saw land that had been underwater get shifted up above the sea level. He put together observations like these and concluded that daily geologic processes can add up to much bigger changes over a long period of time. Next question, what is one example of evidence from Darwin's travels that supports an ancient Earth? So ancient, old, older than 6,000 years. So look in the reading up here for the answer. And the word marine means related to the ocean. Here's the end of the section questions. After you have marked the text, you're going to answer these 4 questions. So I'm just going to read them out loud. Number 1, variation. You write the definition, the common meaning. You can just look up and Google variation and write down the definition. And the biological meaning is what is defined here. Adaptation, common meaning, Google. Biological meaning is up here in the reading. Number 3, what is one example of biological variation that Darwin observed in his travels? Number 4, what is one example of geologic evidence supporting uniformitarianism? So look for that big word that Darwin observed in his travels. And that's it. So mark the text and answer the questions in the reading.